Hello, this is Dale, and I'm joined by Mike, who's going to be actually joining us any time now because he's lost in the jungles of his mind. But I thought I'd bring something up with you first. See this picture over my shoulder? At first, it's just sort of a patriotic theme. This is an American young lady who is saluting in kind of World War II vintage in front of the flag of France, and she's weighing herself. She's weighing herself. Now, this says a lot about your personality when you look at this picture of this young woman, this girl who's weighing herself with the blonde hair and saluting. Is there something patriotic about, like, she's going to join the troops on the beaches of France in World War II, but she has to not weigh too much, or they can't take her along? Why is she saluting in patriotism in front of the flag of France? Actually, it's not the flag of France, it's the reverse, but close enough. And weighing herself. What
Good question.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I'm so glad you're here because I'm reaching for what does this mean? Why is she doing this? So any idea about what patriotism has to do with World War II and weighing herself?
Because it's unpatriotic to be fat.
Oh no, don't say that. We've got a number of friends. Oh no, I'm not going to go there. But I mean, what's the war value of this picture? What's this about?
Don't eat too much because the soldiers need all the food.
Well, I glanced at this.
I'm guessing.
I glanced at this and I thought, first, why is that the flag of France? Well, it's not. It's the reverse. Okay, all right. Bon chance with that. Okay, but when I first looked at it, I said, weighing herself. And then I thought, oh, what an idiot. Not the first person to say that. She's not weighing herself. What is she doing besides saluting? What is she standing in front of? She's not standing in front of one of those physician's weight things. What is she standing in front of, Mike? It's a typewriter.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a very clear view here.
Yeah, well, I don't have a clear view either because when I call up these images, they may seem to you to be crystal clear. Well, they're not, okay? But she's standing in front of she's standing and saluting in front of a typewriter, okay, which is sort of sexist anyway, but it is from the 40s, and you know, if you're patriotic, you're going to lose weight and type at the same time.
Yes.
And then assault those beaches.
Lose weight by typing.
Yeah. Well, you know that only as Patton said when they brought him in on a DC-3 and to land at near the beaches of Normandy. Well, these are only high priority items that are on here, General. Yeah, so perhaps she needed to lose weight to get on that plane to go over there and do her typing?
I ain't touching that.
I would imagine there's a lot of guys that probably had to say the same thing depending on her age. Right. So anyway,
well, and on the other screen, some might wonder, what in the heck is that?
They're all looking at this and not at the break girl. Of course,
that's right.
Of course. I mean, come
on. Those are chemtrails behind a 737 jet that we did a detailed analysis on. And no, actually, what that is that's the audio from the weekly business session, and we ran as fast as we could after coming home from that, and I got on and listened to it remotely, which has a couple of seconds delay, and cut this little piece of audio that we're going to be playing here later.
Wow.
So that's why that's there, and there isn't something else there.
That's why that's there, and there isn't something else there. Okay.
Bingo.
Yes.
You know, that's exactly what I was trying to relate to the audience, so I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yes, it was less mysterious than this picture of the blonde girl, American girl in front of the flag of France, sort of.
Right. Yes.
And weighing herself.
And the typewriter, I can't even really see that. So
it looks like one of those physicians' weight things. Now,
yeah.
Just so that you understand why I'm saying all this, because Mike says, listen, I got something to do. Start the show basically without me. So I'm thinking,
Yes.
okay, what do I have? I know. I'll talk about this this drawing from World War II.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the scariest things when it's like 5 seconds to showtime and the co-host guy goes, "Hey, vamp." Okay.
Vamp, right.
I can't tell you how long. Just go ahead and do that, will you?
Not being a female impersonator, this was the best thing I could do when they say
Yes.
vamp. Right.
Yes.
I want to be alone. So, oh no, not that kind of vampire. Never mind. You're not old enough to understand this. I'm not either. Okay. So, that's the fascinating part of today's show. And now we're going to get into other things. Now, I had in mind doing a better segue, which is a transition from one thing to another, but this is just clunky. Now, turning over something entirely different, I mentioned to you that I had spoken with the DA yesterday, Ryan Mulkins. He's the new DA. And his predecessor as the DA, I ran into a little difficulty with Keith Eck. Really? How's that possible? In the lobby of the Ann Basker. I was coming out I was the last person out, with Terry Wharton trying to get me out of the room so she can go. And I had my camera bag over one shoulder and the tripod in the other. I always stay around, not because it's a lot of fun, but because the commissioners sometimes talk to each other in a quorum and potentially make decisions and that kind of thing, which is illegal. And they're hopping mad. They tried to make a rule that just me, couldn't start taping until the gavel was struck, and as soon as it's over, boom, that camera has to go off. Well, if you do that, then you're never going to catch them cheating. What a revelation. We never thought of that, Mr. Matthews. Why, that's a better reason for this rule. So I always wait around till the quorum is broken, and now they actually don't do that anymore. It's had an effect on them. It's made these chronic lawbreakers into people who are reluctantly obeying the law so we don't catch them on tape and then show you.
Mm-hmm.
As if they care. So I'm walking out of the room and Charlie Chase is talking with Simon Hare and Keith Eck. And Charlie's hitting him up to be on the committee. Now, Charlie can talk about retirement all that he likes. They can talk about daffodils, but they're not supposed to talk with Charlie in a quorum when it's county business. And legal counsel has made this crystal clear, and we all know that because we can read the rules for ourselves. And I see him do this, and honestly, maybe I shouldn't get discouraged, but I was like, oh, not again. And I said, just like this, and I used the word gentleman advisedly. Gentlemen, you're breaking the law, just like that. Well, I have the little report from the DA, and it includes a letter from Keith Eck describing what happened. At the time, Mr. Matthews intruded into our conversation by advancing with his tripod toward us.
Well, yes. Right, he was carrying a tripod and walking towards us, thereby advancing with his tripod. It sounded like you were getting ready to run him through or something.
Yes, poking into them, very similar to Carl Wilson. Well, Sandy Casanelli and Dale Matthews tried to gain entrance with a crowbar. Come on, yes. To a meeting of the Rotary Club where you're going to do the county's business anyway. So he was advancing toward us. He was advancing toward us with a tripod. I wasn't. Well, then Keith Eck has me. Let's see. He was barking that we were breaking the law. Mike, you've known me for a little while.
Would you like me to do a simulation here at this
yes,
point?
Yes, please do. Please.
I'm pretty good at that. I have a couple of dogs, and I know how they talk.
I was barking at them.
Yes.
I kept my voice lower than usual because it was just tiring to see them do this once again. And I did say to Charlie Chase, I said, you're not breaking the law at all, but they know better than this. And I kept it just exactly like that. Well, as soon as I said it, Simon Hare knew that he was breaking the law, so he took off. He went to the restroom. We've all seen him run out of the room to go to the restroom, so we know Simon has a little physical thing, and or whatever he needs to do in the restroom, and he's running off for that. So I'm done. I've got nothing more to say. I've got nothing more to say. Why would I? I've already made my point, and I made it real low key, sotto voce, kind of a notice to them. Okay, so I'm starting to walk out the door, and it turns out that the other two, Charlie Chase and Keith Heck, are walking out the door at the same time with Terry Wharton behind us, going like this. She's just always so pleasant. Anyway, so we're walking out, and Keith Heck says, "I've told you this before." That's not what he says. He says, he says 3 times, "I know we're breaking a law, and I don't care." And he said it that loud. Okay, I'm not being loud, not at all. I'm not always loud. Okay, so he's
Just
saying,
most of the time.
"I know we're breaking the law." This is important. I know we're breaking the law, and I don't care. What more do I have to say? I've got nothing to say, right? So I'm walking out, and he makes another comment. Honestly, when I reported this to the police, I said, I don't remember what he said, but I said, and this full disclosure, I said something like, "Would you like $5,000? Now, Mike knows, and I said it just like that low. Mike knows what the 5,000. Tell him what the $5,000 is about, Mike.
Well, that's because you offered Keith $5,000 if he could prove that you had edited his words or his video in any way.
Similar to this thing that's over my shoulder. This is what Mike used. This thing over here to compare the county's audio with our audio to see if there was anything at all that would make Keith stand up and salute while losing weight. No, that would back up or refute his charge that it would have been Mike probably, had highly edited the videotape. Well, we hadn't, because he forgot that there's a county recording. And so so I'm leaving. So Keith puts his stuff down, and he says, Matthews continued to not yell, but loudly say that we were breaking. I didn't loudly do anything. I was done talking.
Yeah, well, we know that Keith has a little bit of an issue in determining what actual volume levels are, because he accused Judy of yelling at him.
Judy.
Yeah. And anybody who knows Judy knows that that does not ever happen. Judy is not going to yell at you. You would have to insult her Savior, Jesus Christ, right to her face for her to even become unpleasant to you.
While running over her with a car. Hey, you're running over me with a car. She might put up her lower third that says Wednesday over herself if you said something like that. Okay?
Yes. Why don't I have that up there right now?
I don't know why.
I don't know. Okay.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
There you go.
She
there
might
you
do
go.
what?
I hope you're happy.
She might do what? While yelling, Wednesday. I know it's Wednesday, and I don't care. So he also told the police, and Charlie Chase told the police, I used to like Charlie Chase, and Terry Wharton told the police that the guy never touched me.
Well, they all want to keep their jobs, I guess. I mean, that would be the name of that one, I guess.
Now, I easily, and this never even occurred to me till like 2 days later. This is the way I think. I easily could have stuck my finger up my nose a couple of times while I was walking over to the police station, because you should do the right thing and report stuff. And I would have been bleeding by the time I got there. And nobody would have known whether that was the result of this or the result. They wouldn't think I stuck my finger up my nose. I don't think so, unless my finger was still, and I would have done that. So that's a little disgusting, Dale. But
yes.
But nobody would have known.
As a matter of fact, you just did that, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, every time I scratch my nose,
how did that taste?
This dang camera comes on. Oh, look, he's scratching his nose. Stop it. Okay. So it reminded me one time that John Harrelson, the loony guy, I've got your picture on my wall, and it's covered in plastic. One time he left his keys behind in the little back room. And I saw the keys, and Mr. Harrelson, you forgot your key. He came back. What is it? What? And I said, well, you left your key. Oh, well, here, give me those keys. Hey, you're welcome. But, I thought about it 2 days later. This is what I'm like about this kind of stuff. And I thought, if I had pocketed those keys, this guy would have been in a world of trouble. They would have had to change probably every lock in the whole building.
Yeah.
I didn't. Why would I do that? It's not honest. So, anyway, that's my story from the DA's office.
So essentially, Dale, just wanting to know if he could still make Keith Heck angry.
Oh, please.
He decided to try an experiment.
No.
And check and see if Keith still had a sense of chivalry about him.
Chivalry. Okay, well, I'm not a woman, but
is that? Yeah, he was pretty. He was jumping to Cheryl's defense when you.
Oh, here's the
said,
thing.
Yeah,
Cherryl Walker.
I don't want to, give it away.
Yeah, Cherryl Walker a couple of weeks ago, she accused Sandy Casanelli, when she was a commissioner, of handing out economic development money to a friend. She did not do that. I was at that meeting, and I remember very clearly what was taking place, and it was exactly the opposite of this. I mean, the guy did get the money, and probably not much came out of that, but Sandy was the one that was asking the toughest questions, and he wasn't a friend of hers. So my question to Cheryl over the last couple of weeks would be, if I got a chance to get past all the blather, is you would never ask, why did you say that? Because you got to think a little ahead of time. What is her answer going to be? And her answer would be, I thought it was the truth, or I knew it was the truth, or some other. You never, because then it's over. No, that's not the right question. The right question to ask is, where did that come from? That Sandy Casanelli gave money to her friend. On what document can we depend? And don't tell me to go put in a request for information, because it's not there, and everybody knows that document's not there, like the lap rules for cameras. Why, says Keith Heck, that's in our office, and you can come by. Of course I applied for it. They didn't answer, didn't answer, didn't answer, didn't answer. When they finally did, they got one of the secretaries to say, that document does not exist. Of course it doesn't exist. I knew it. We all knew that. It was made up. Cheryl pulled out of that place that we don't talk about in public. So the thing is that when Cheryl said this, the right thing to do, so she doesn't just cut it off, is to say, where did that information come from? Now, I think she made it up. Most of us think that she did. The deputy DA would say, who thinks that we did? Okay, here's a list of names and numbers. But that's Matt somebody. Matt Taibbi. I don't remember the guy's name. Matthew Eldridge. No, that's not it. Sorry, Matthew. Dale Matthews. Yeah, that's it. Oh, boy. So the idea is to ask her, where did you get that information? It could have come from So Ready, because Sandy was criticizing So Ready, but and who doesn't these days? But I think it's more likely it just came out of Cheryl's imagination. And so I wanted to ask her today just one simple question. You can't ask more questions, because she'll pick something else. Or she'll start talking about her family and how patriotic they are. Or about kittens and sunshine. Or let's remember the children. Or anything else rather than answering the questions. So you'd ask, I started out by saying, I have a simple question. And here's the thing. Whenever you get up to speak at the Ambassador, and this is certainly going to encourage you all to do so, because it's such a friendly environment, you're supposed to, this commissioners have been very clear, crystal clear, loud and clear. Look at us, look at us, look at us when you talk. And I brought up many times, you're not even looking at me. So what is this rule about we have to look at you and you don't have to look at us? That just doesn't seem fair. So that's how this started. So Mike has grabbed up the audio from this immediately, because the meeting didn't happen very long ago, and he's going to play it back for you, accompanied with a photo of Keith Heck in one of his favorite I want you tossed out of this audience poses.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. I'll keep this simple. Cherryl Walker. A couple of weeks ago, you decided to make the comment that Sandy Casanelli, as a commissioner, I'm over here, Cherryl Walker.
Mr. Matthews, if you want to say something, that's fine. If you want to try to be real clever and try to...
There's no danger of that.
Then fine. Your time is up. You have expired. You are not recognized
No
anymore.
danger.
Please have a seat.
What?
Next.
What's the reasoning, sir?
Please have a seat.
You have some reasoning, right?
Yes, please have a seat.
What is the reasoning
Number-
behind that, sir?
Would you please sit down?
I'm asking you a question.
You
as
are
an
out of
elected
order.
official.
You are not recognized by the
Why
chair.
am I not recognized?
Because the chair...
Why?
I'm not going to get a dialogue with you on this. Mr.
Oh, you
Matthews.
should tell me, though.
Fine.
You have a right to ask. You have the right to try to answer.
Would you like
if you
to
think
sit
that you're
down,
capable.
please?
That's it. I think that says more about you than it does about me.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, sir, in the back.
Thank you.
Let's get Dennis Weber in on this. He's not on our show. But Dennis,
For crying out.
do you think that I was yelling out expletives? Dennis, was I screaming? Dennis Weber, head of Parkway Christian Center, was I running around the room yelling woot woot and gnawing on the furniture? Or was I simply saying, hello, Ms. Walker, I'm over here. She wasn't even looking at me. I'm asking her a question. She's not even looking at me.
Yeah, that's standard operating procedure for them. They will look at you unless they don't like you and they already know pretty much that what you're going to say is not going to be flattering to them in any way. Then they won't look at you at all.
Keith actually did that once in a meeting. I got up, and I wasn't necessarily following anybody or preceding anybody. He says, Mr. Matthews, we already know what you're going to say. Sit down. That was a surprise. Because I had a general idea what I was going to say, but I said, well, why don't you say it for me?
He's been reading your mail, I guess.
Who hasn't? The NSA. Thank you. So what was the terrible, awful, you gotta stop this guy at all costs, call the police over, who weren't there today, by the way, and escort this guy from the room. What did I say? He says, well, if you try to say something clever, and I made a joke about myself. No danger of that. All right, that's it, sit down. Hey.
Well...
No danger, I'm going to say something clever. You better sit down right now. That's out of order.
And this is Keith's thing here, and he's done this. This is the second time he's done this, where he shut somebody up. The first time it was, that crazy wild person, Judy Aarons.
It's out of control.
Out of control. She must be squelched.
Yeah.
And this is how he deals with it, and he's once he's come to that place, there's no turning him. You're not gonna convince him that, oh, hey, wait a minute, let me speak. It's not gonna happen.
Well, I have a question for our audience. I've asked you questions before, and sometimes you respond.
And you never answer me!
No, you never call me the next day. Okay, so here's the thing. Do you think that I should ever so politely go to next Wednesday's weekly business session and very, very respectfully and politely ask for an apology?
Yeah, that's not going to get you anywhere, Dale. I can tell you, you know how you like to try and figure out what the response is going to be before you do something. Let me just help you out. Let me save you some time.
Okay.
That's not going to work.
But isn't that the kind, gentle, respectful way to put? I mean, shouldn't I ask? Should I not? Should I be afraid to ask for an apology?
I would move along as though that never ever happened. That's what I would do. I would move on to the next thing. I think it depends upon who it is that you're speaking to in reality. And I think probably who we're all clearly speaking to is the audience in the place there, and the audience that is watching on online or on cable. So considering that, and and knowing that the pointer here, let me just show the pointer without playing the thing there. There you go. Yeah, there he is. The pointer.
The pointer.
Yes, without encountering.
I wasn't sure what you meant.
And knowing that guy is there ready to, and there's a laser that comes out of the end of his finger and smites you at the lectern.
Oh, jeez, it's a podium. Come on.
A podium. Okay. All right. So, knowing that that's the case, probably, I would, make your case to the people, because you're not gonna really make, I mean, these people are not going to look at you with and go, oh, Dale Matthews, what is it that you're saying? Oh, yes, you know what, that is so important. I have to now scribble that down really
at 100
fast
miles
because
an
that
hour.
was
Yes, that's
very at 100 miles an hour. That was very interesting. So I gotta. Oh boy, what you just. Oh man, that was a good point right there. Yes. That's never going to happen. So
why do we put up with this kind of stuff from these guys? Really? I mean, just put up that photo of him again. Just put up that photo.
And the reason being is because we elected
Dale Matthews grants pass.
I keep interrupting him whenever he points his finger at me.
It restarted. Yes, exactly. How rude.
Yeah. When you just look at this guy, does this look like, you are welcome to come to our weekly business session? Hey, come back to my office and I will privately yell at you, like he did with Judy Aarons.
And that's kind of a mild-mannered frozen frame there. That isn't when he's really in his in all of his glory like he was this evening.
I didn't pick him with his tongue sticking out. We could easily do that with the tongue sticking out and the goofy expression. No, but this is vintage Keith Eck. This is who Keith Eck is. This should be on the half-dollar bill as an indication of who Keith Eck is. This is the perfect pose for Keith. That's who this guy is.
He's making a point. Ha.
Brother.
Yes.
So what lessons should people learn from this? Never speak up at a commissioner's meeting, or expect more from the people you elect next time?
Well, maybe attend some of these. I was really disappointed, and this is during the 2012 cycle. There, we went to the Fruitdale Grange and they had a debate, and what was there? 50 people there, maybe. Yeah. I mean, was it any more than that?
No.
It was. Oh,
it was not.
Oh no.
More.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So, and how many people we got? It's 80-something thousand in the county, and how many of those are 50,000 voters, something like that. So, you would hope for better than that as a turnout, and it turns out that people don't care enough, clearly, to get to know who these people are. And to be honest, I got to tell you, I went to that. And, there was Keith Eck, and he was running against Tony Webb.
Right. It was the candidates,
right.
Candidates forum.
Right. Right. And then it was Cherryl Walker running against Bob Just.
Brother.
And and which was really, I'm surprised. I think he could have easily beat her, but I think he kind of went wet noodle.
You think? This guy is too delicate to run for an office. I mean, maybe you think he's a wonderful guy, but no.
He just listen. You know what the thing is? You have to be able to say, "Hey, this is how it is."
Yeah. The first time he was asked
don't like it, go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go pound sand if you don't like it.
The first time he was asked any kind of tight question, he like, how can people ask such a question? Hey, Bob, this is politics. What do you think is going on here?
You can't equivocate. You can't, you can't show weakness. Go with your gut. Listen, this is what this is about. go with your gut. Show us who you are, and then we will or will not vote for you on that basis. That seems pretty simple to me. And so not enough people came out. Not enough people knew who these people were. They voted on the basis of, oh, I like that name. That's a nice name. Oh, isn't that? He has a sign that says, heck yes. That's really cute.
And those were just the guys that spoke like that.
Right. Yes. So I mean, it's tragic that with a county that has so much riding on the line politically, to be disengaged. My God, it is borderline unpatriotic or un-American, if I might say such a thing.
Yeah, well, but here's the problem. Keith Eck was running against Tony Webb, right? Mm-hmm. Cherryl Walker was running against Bob Just.
Yeah.
All right, no offense, Tony, but really, is this all that we have in this county? Really?
At the time, I will say, listen, at the time, there isn't any question that the two stronger candidates won. And a stronger candidate is not a statement as to whether or not these people are good. It's that they're the stronger candidate. And
Simon Hare didn't get a majority of the votes. He won without a majority. Yes, he won without a majority. He was running against Mark Gatlin. I mean, if I had voted for either one of them, which I didn't want on my conscience, I wouldn't have voted for Mark Gatlin. That would have been, he's worse than Keith Eck.
Yes, Mark Gatlin. His problem. He's an empty suit. All he had was talking points. He wanted to say what he thought people wanted to hear. This guy you don't want. I mean, he's the worst kind of politician, worse than Simon Hare.
Yes,
I think Simon Hare standing next to that guy looks like Scruples.
Yeah, and what a heck of a note that is. I mean, for those of you, why would you say such a thing about a wonderful big guy? Well, just give you one example. I've mentioned this before. So there's this videotape I'm talking about that's been around for a number of years. We shot the videotape, and I said, and here's what happened. Why, that's what did he say? That's scurrilous, and it's false, and it's insane. And I asked him afterwards, I said, Mark, did you ever even see the videotape or read the report or know anything about what you're saying? Well, no, but you know what? That's the kind of commissioner he would have been. Really?
Yeah.
He weighed in very strongly in calling it insane, and he didn't even know what was on the tape and had never read the report. Is that the kind of county commissioner you want? That would have been worse than Simon Hare. No facts at all.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of no facts at all, you like that softball I'm tossing towards you there, Mike?
Well, I would like a little bit more if I had some idea what the heck you're talking about.
Heck, again, no, this is about the levy and about how this evening was your next to last chance at the weekly business session to speak up, and next time is your very last chance before it's called... Bioengineering? No. Before it's called
electioneering.
Recombinant DNA? No. Electioneering, that's what it is. Before it's called electioneering, and all of France must stop voting. No, you can vote, but you can't speak within that little area because it's next to the courthouse. There's a aerial picture and a bunch of other things, but you're not supposed to do that. Now, we have seen the commissioners do it, and I've turned in videotape evidence to the state saying, here's Cherryl Walker electioneering. And they said, yes, it certainly does appear that she is. Okay, what are you going to do? Now you've got videotape, and you've got eyewitness testimonies, and you've got the transcript. What are you going to do? Well, we've been thinking about whether we should enforce that law. What?
Yeah, you know what? Listen. If the state or the controlling legal authority is not going to do anything, what is the point actually of keeping some sort of track of this thing? Because ultimately, it's never going to add up to anything. These people don't. The law just clearly is not an important thing to them. There is no repercussion. There is no. there's nobody monitoring this, and there's no accountability, yeah.
Well, as legal counsel Steve Rich pointed out, no one's enforcing the law. And they know what that means. So,
I think I just said that. Whatever he got paid, I could have saved them that money.
That's right. Well, this was official legal counsel. This wasn't just advice from Dale and Mike, or Mike and Dale, or Mike and Mike. This is official legal
Mike
advice.
And Dave.
Dave, yes. That happened recently with Dan Mancuso, or Dean Mancuso, who out in the IV, who runs a newspaper and doesn't know my name. We've only known each other for, I don't know, 8 years or something like that, or whatever length of time it is. The thing is that this was official advice in an open public meeting from our legal counsel at the time. And why do we obey the law? I get people ask me, oh, well, if they can break the law, so can we? No, you know what? We can't. And I sometimes get into near knockdown, drag-out fights with people. Well, we've got to use the same tactics. We can't. What do you mean we can't? They can, we can't. No, we can't. We cannot do that because we've got a boss we have to answer to that's even above the chairman of the board of county commissioners of the middle of nowhere, Oregon. We have to answer to that boss, and integrity is doing, it's Dale with the, but it's doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. And so we cannot do that. I will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do. And so they can break the law, break the law, break the law. We point it out, we make our reports, and then we're doing the right thing by our boss. I believe it makes our boss smile. And angels salute in front of a flag of France.
Right.
While they're losing weight.
Right.
Fat angels.
When you were doing all of that, I felt like doing what I did last night and throwing some never, ever, 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 ever.
I remember that. Yeah, right. That's our new motto. Well, look. So there's a heroine. No, that doesn't sound right, but it's the correct use of the English language. Oh. There was a hero at this meeting. It was a woman, so she's a heroine, but we don't use that term very much anymore. A couple of them. One of them was Sandy Casanelli. Sandy Casanelli got up and she spent part of her valuable time saying, I don't think it's right that you're having Mr. Matthews have to sit down. He didn't, I'm paraphrasing, he didn't do anything wrong. The other one, and thank you, Sandy, that's right, you're right, and thank you for speaking up. Other people didn't. But someone who did, from the audience, without getting permission to speak, little Pauline Dean, and she's little, and she was so outraged, she just said, well, that's not right. And Keith Eck is like, well, I'm going to have order, and but you're not treating him right. You're not doing this right. It's Pauline Dean. She's like this, literally a little old lady. She was outraged.
Yeah, she had some spunk tonight for sure.
Now, we met her at her car afterwards.
And yet?
Yeah. I think you've got a buzz call coming in there, bud.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. So she's like holding my arm. She says, you're doing a good job. Keep doing the good job. Well, I understand that people might get a little discouraged when you're knocked down again and again and again. Like the Japanese say, the nail that sticks up will be hammered down. That's their point of view. But when I was living in Washington, D.C., I used to wait at a bus stop with a young lady that came from India. And there was a guy, and I see her every day, and we'd have nice conversations. And there was a guy that had come, and his apple fell out of his paper bag. It fell onto the grass, just onto the grass. It was like, 2 feet or something. And I said something to him, never mind. So I picked up the apple and did a little bit of this kind of stuff on apple polisher. And I thought, well, cool. Apples sometimes hit the ground. I mean, they're not made in laboratories. Well, you don't know sometimes, but I don't think so. And I'm looking at this and going, oh, right. And then I thought, you know what? So I went over to her and I said, I found this apple. And she's like, oh, that's very nice. You share that. And she said, where'd you get that from? told her the story, and she says, "You took that apple off the ground?" And I was like, "Well, wait, yeah. Well, I'll have you know that I come from a very good family." What? I come from a very good family in India, and my father is a doctor, and not a doctor because of the apple, because he's highly regarded in his community, and how would I dare to hand over an apple to the privileged daughter of somebody that's their father is a, and you know what I heard immediately in the background? Fifes and drums. That's what I heard. Yes, I know, insanity, it's the early onset. She comes from a British colonial background. Hey, so do we. Right? And they grew up with these British ideas of it all depends on what your father did for a living, what you are. My dad could have been a horse thief. That doesn't make me anything. Or president, and I still wouldn't be anything. I'd just be the son or the wife of a former president. How's that been working out for us? But I don't come from some privileged family where I say, you can't hand me a free apple. Why, my father is important in India. And I was very respectful, but what I wanted to say to her. But really what came to me was, we're Americans. And this whole thing about, well, if you're in a Rotary Club or whatever, or you belong to this or that, or you're from the highly regarded families of this, get stuffed. But not with my apple.
Right.
So, these guys who feel that they are public servants, they can't even think they're public servants. That's just not possible. They wouldn't be treating us like this if they really thought about what a public servant is. Tell them the story, Mike. This is delicious. Better than an apple.
I hate it when he says that.
This is delicious. Oh, when I say this is delicious, or when I say tell us the story?
No, when you say tell them the story, because now I go, oh crap, here I am on the spot. Here I'm going to have to come up with
this. You know this story better than anybody.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what has Sandy Casanelli been doing over the years in the lobby of the Ann Basker in that little kitchenette area that's no longer really a kitchen? What has she been doing back there?
Well, she likes to sit in that little area, and there's these shutters that open up, and you can see into, the Ann Basker Auditorium there, and she sits back there, and she makes notes and does whatever. That's her little area.
It's her confidential cubby.
Yeah, her confidential cubby. And I guess for some reason they thought ill of her doing that, because now they have those shutters closed and padlocked.
What?
Yes, and they have a chain across that area and a sign in the middle of the chain that says authorized personnel only.
Authorized for a kitchen that doesn't exist anymore? Authorized? Authorized to do what?
Yeah, and they also took there was a big, a table with 4 stools around it out in the lobby, and they removed that as well, because Sandy's response to that has been, she's been bringing in, and Judy brought in some too, 5-gallon buckets, and they're sitting around that little table that's out there that everybody puts documents on. They were sitting around the table having conversations, so I took a couple of pictures of them doing that this evening. And probably what's going to happen right behind that, because they're going to put those pictures on Facebook or something, and what's ultimately going to happen is they'll probably pull that table out of there, and maybe they'll put a velvet rope down the center of the lobby so you can't go out beyond that or something. Who knows?
What in the world? Really, they're spending time on this kind of foolishness?
It's totally out of spite too.
Yeah. Oh, it's not because of security. Why? We're worried that she's back there with a sniper rifle.
Yes.
Please.
That's
I'll tell you what it is. They saw, maybe you, but definitely Sandy, in the back there, and you were silently laughing about the commissioners. And you should have seen Keith Heck's face when you guys were back there and you were taking pictures with the cell phone. You didn't get a chance to see this, but I'm watching him, and he's really upset, and he keeps looking and looking. What are they doing back there? And he keeps looking like, and he's got that look on his face like, I'm going to point my finger at you any second now. And he's very upset with this whole idea that you guys are having a good time and laughing. Yes. You've heard Sandy Casanelli laugh, and everybody knows Sandy's laugh. And you guys are having a good time back there. And they're probably laughing about us, you know, and I thought we solved this problem, and now they're bringing in buckets. Why, we don't know what's in. Remember when Keith Hicks said, I had they said you can't use a tripod. So, okay. So I brought a box with a tripod sticking out of it because they said, well, it can't touch the floor. They actually made a rule saying the tripod cannot touch the floor. So I put the box on, supplied by a wonderful citizen, put the box on a seat, right, and it has this little stick out of the top, and then put the camera on that to keep it steady. Well, you never know what's in that box, really. And even Simon Hare couldn't put up with that, and he said, you know, if we're going to have to open up that box and every box that comes into the Ann-Basker for safety, then aren't we going to have to look through every purse, every valise, every backpack, everything that comes? If we're going to look at all the purses, I'm going to object. And
put some metal detectors out there, pat everybody down,
and check it for bombs. Really? There's no question that I was doing anything other than just trying to get a steady shot with this dang camera so that you can see what's going on without it going like this. That would be nice, and a little bit of good audio. It just was out of spite. And how well did that work out for Cherryl Walker? Have you heard her say anything about, Dale Matthews, you must keep touching your camera. I can't even get up to go to the restroom because I have to keep touching the camera. Come on. What's the matter with you? Well, this isn't aimed just at you. And I remember, who was that that goofy guy that would always say, well, you're like Nazis or so. Who was that guy? He always thought he was in charge of Sandy's recall, but he wasn't. It was somebody else.
Ed Bowers.
Ed Bowers. Why, I'm not insulted by this at all. Why, this affects me too. And in what way, Ed, does this affect you? You don't bring a camera to anything. There's only one person that does. Come on. So they make this stupid rule that Sandy can't sit back there and watch the meeting from there and then come out, make her comment, and then go back in there. They take the furniture out. We bought that furniture. What are you taking it out for? What's the matter with you guys? Have you really nothing better to do to try to crush all citizens that question government? I question government. Guilty as charged, Your Honor.